Welcome to our podcast, Culture Shock Therapy. I'm Shannah. This is Tessa, my sister. We are two sisters. I'm 28.
And I'm 26.
And we're just going to be having a podcast, which is actually explaining how we grew up, what it was like growing up all over the world. It'll be very conversation based, so it could be a little bit random here and there, and there'll be lots of stories and funny things that we experienced. And just kind of letting everybody in on what it was like growing up the way that we did. And then as well as the kind of the deep dives, nitty gritty, and how it's affecting our lives now. So we're just going to see where that takes us. So I'm really excited to get started.
Yeah, so how about we start introducing ourselves? How about you go first?
Yes, I'm Shannah. I'm 28, like I just said. And I work at a psychologist's office. I've been living in Holland now for 8 years, almost 8 years, next month, 8 years. We came here from Singapore, and I came here to pursue my studies, which was originally social work, but I ended up doing education, and it was a whole thing.
And now you're back into social work with psychology.
Yeah, basically like a makeshift social work type thing. And yeah, what else? I have hobbies. Yeah,
You don't
there's
sound
things
very
that I like to
convinced.
do. I love to cook and bake. I've been trying to pick up playing the piano a little bit again. I love to cuddle with the doggies.
With your nephew.
Yeah, with my nephew. And yeah, I'm actually really just excited that we get to like try out this creative outlet because it's so excited. It's something we haven't done before.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. To start, I'll introduce myself real quick. I'm Tessa, I'm 26. I've also been living here for 8 years. We actually moved here together, was the original plan. Things kind of went weird really quickly, but we'll get into that later.
Story for another day.
I'm married, I have a kid. He's great, he's 4 months. Super cute, love being a mom. And I do actually work in social work. I came here to study social work and I ended up pursuing my work in that. However, I am really enjoying that we're going down this road creatively, trying to podcast, seeing how we can get our juices flowing. Who knows what this is going to lead to?
Get the tea flowing.
Exactly. Yeah, that's basically a little short introduction.
Yeah.
So I think it's smart to start kind of like explaining how we grew up, where we lived, what our experience was like. You want to take us down that road?
Sure. Well, considering I am the firstborn, it did start that way with us being born in different countries. So I was born in Malaysia.
And I was born in Suriname.
Yeah. So we kind of started the journey. Well, the journey started beforehand when our parents were in Malaysia already. And then there I was born. Then we went to Suriname where you were born. And I think we spent like a year and a half there. I was really little. And then we went to the Philippines for, I think, 6 months.
We went to Malaysia first.
Did we?
To Penang. And then the job got cancelled and we had to leave by the end of the week. Remember, Grandpa and Grandma had to go into a hotel because they were visiting us. And then we went to the Philippines.
I don't remember, but I was like 3, but I do believe that this happened.
I don't remember, but it's just the stories. And with the Philippines, it was really unsafe there. And our granddad got sick. So then Mom, you and I ended up moving back to the Netherlands while Dad stayed in Batangas. And he had the wildest stuff happen there with the mafia.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mind you, this was everything like before, like I had turned 4 and you were like 1.5.
Yeah.
So
we had already experienced a buttload of weird
we
stuff.
We had gotten off to a really good start.
Yeah.
So, but I think after the Philippines, we spent like 3 to 6 months in the Netherlands.
I think maybe a little bit longer.
Possibly. It's like a blur.
Yeah.
I do remember though, like leaving school because we were going to move back to Penang. And then we stayed there for a year and a half. I do remember that. And it was a really good time.
Yeah. I think Penang is the first place that I genuinely remember.
Yeah.
And it was just so good, the warmth, the pool, the Starbucks across the road.
The Saturdays at the Starbucks,
Yeah.
Sundays at the beach. It was a good time. And after Penang, we went to Florida, which is also, like, honestly, if I could go back, I would go back there. That was such a good year. It was so relaxed, such a good life. And then I remember we came to Holland in like June or July. And then the intention was to like live here for 3 years. I remember specifically because it was like, whoa, 3 years is such a long time. And then we came here in like June or July, and in October, I was like, yeah, we're leaving. And it would be London. So I
Yeah.
started telling my classmates, oh yeah, I'm moving to London. And then like a week later, like, no, we're going to Dubai. And we're like, okay, great.
You know, I have such a weird memory of that. I had told everybody we were going to the UK, and then it changed to Dubai.
Yeah.
And my teachers knew. I guess mom and dad told them. But I was so embarrassed because I was afraid people thought I had lied. And my
That's
teacher
so
called me
sad.
to the front of the class to explain to everyone, like, hey, you know, Tessa's not a liar. She just, you know, her parents changed plans. And she asked me to the front, and I crawled. I don't know why.
Did you really?
Crawled. It was so weird.
Why? I never knew this.
I have really weird stuff. Like, I slept on a desk one time when I was feeling sick, and I did weird stuff that year. Anyway, back to we were gonna move to London, and then we
Yeah.
didn't, and we ended up actually moving to Dubai a few months later
Yeah, that summer.
because we ended up spending 1 year in the Netherlands. Because I remember we spent my birthday there, which was in April, and it snowed like really heavily the week afterwards.
Yeah.
Even though with my birthday we were barbecuing.
That was crazy. And Dad didn't believe us.
Yeah, Dad was stationed in Dubai already at that point. And then we ended up moving to Dubai, and we got to stay there for 2.5 years, which was really nice because we were finally craving a little bit of stability. We were starting to make friends.
I remember after our first year there, because we had started in one school and then we transferred to another school.
Yeah.
Then we started our second year in that same school, and my mom was like, "You're
This-
going to the same school for a second year in a row." We're like, "That's insane. That's crazy.
It's never happened
We've never
before."
done that before." And it felt going through the halls on the first day of school felt really cool because you're like,
Yeah.
"I know this place. We've been here. We've got this." And then school started, I think, beginning September, and then
In
we left
October.
again in November.
Yeah, in October, remember Dad asked us, how would you feel about going back to Asia?
Yeah.
And we were just like, absolutely not. We're not moving again.
We were in the ocean when we had this conversation.
in Fujairah, yeah, on holiday. That's also where the creepy guy kissed me.
What?
Yeah, do you remember Dad told you that story?
Where
This older guy just grabbed me and started kissing me. I was 7, mind you, at this point. Really, really weird experience.
Yeah,
See, this
that he
is what
thought
I
you were
mean.
his child.
Well, I mean, that was his excuse later, but I think it was just like a very...
That's so
yeah.
nasty.
See, this is what I mean with I experience very weird things. This has nothing to do with the international life, by the way. These are just very random things that happen to have happened to me.
Which kind of help us, I guess, remember the whole process. Because when you experience such bizarre things,
It helps you pinpoint the
yeah,
places.
yeah, it's like your memory pre-COVID and post-COVID. It's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, it's like an era.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Dad asked us how we would feel about moving back. We said we didn't want to. And basically it came down to, okay, that sucks, but
We're
we're moving
leaving.
back anyway. And we ended up living in a really, like,
Crack ass hotel.
yeah, I was trying to figure out how
But
to
it was a
say
vibe though. Like looking back, that was also an era because it was cracky, but
I think we spent 3 months there.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like you got to know the staff, and then you would get
They were
ice
like
cream.
our friends. That was kind of sad.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
had to take a taxi to school every day.
Which looking back, I'm like, it was such a good time.
Yeah, because recently I was talking to Mom about the time that she made us walk to school. Do you remember that?
I do.
It was like an hour walk, and she was
I
all
hated
fitness
it.
power, and yeah, me too.
Always arrive at school all sweaty.
And she said that that was the period where you started becoming embarrassed to like walk with us, so you would walk quite far ahead of us so that no one would associate you.
True, but also I just wanted to be done with it as soon as possible. I hated the whole walking thing because every time we thought, oh, we should be almost there, we
Another
weren't.
turn, yeah.
And I remember the first time we went, it was like, yeah, but it's like a 5-minute bus ride, so it should be like a 10-minute walk. It was not a 10-minute walk.
Yeah,
It
that
never
was
ended.
I always tried to sleep in too
Mm-hmm.
late, but Mom always seemed to get it working that we ended up walking anyway.
Shout
Anyway,
out to Mom for trying to get us to be fit,
we love you, but we did not enjoy that.
but it was not a vibe.
Yeah. So yeah, that was then we spent 10 years in Singapore. We went through elementary, middle school, high school, and it was the first time that we actually landed somewhere.
I think even subconsciously that we like adjusted there. Like eventually it was just like a thing. We just lived there.
Yeah, it was home. Because I remember when we moved there, the idea was originally to move to Australia 1 or 2 years later. Then that got cancelled. Then it was Vietnam. Then that got cancelled. then it was Dubai, and then that got canceled. So we were still constantly living in this weird
I don't recall the
back and
whole
forth.
maybe moving to Vietnam era.
Yeah, I heard that later.
Oh,
They didn't tell us when it was
lol.
happening.
Okay. Yay, stability.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were rooting to move back to Dubai,
Yeah.
actually.
But looking back, I think
It's so
it's
good we stayed.
yeah, yeah, because I think we can see now, which we, even though mom and dad like warned us about it, we
Yeah.
were just not able to see because, prefrontal cortex not being developed. So we were 14 and 16 or something like that.
Yeah, I guess.
You do subconsciously expect to return to what you left.
Yes.
And that was just not the case. And I think it would have kind of pulled the rug out from under us if we went back there with the expectation that we would still have the same friends and everything would be the same. Well, that's not, life goes on.
I mean, I was looking forward to the bougie life there,
For
but
sure. But that's a whole different thing. That was
yeah.
a different thing, which we, yeah, maybe took for granted a little bit.
Well, I mean, we didn't really live the bougie life when we lived in Dubai. We lived in a small little house.
Now we profited off of our friends.
Yeah, that was good. I think the most insane thing I experienced was when I was 7 and our friends rented a hotel with a limo to pick us up from school.
Yeah.
And
Can
we
you
spent the whole.
imagine?
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, a kid is turning 7. All you need is a sleepover and some
Yeah.
pizza, and you're
And like
happy.
7 candles and wee.
Exactly, and these were just the most luxurious parties ever.
Extravagant, I think,
Yeah.
is a right word to
I mean,
describe it.
if you have to top that every year, it's just not even realistic. I think that's the whole reason we moved as well.
Like, what are you going to be renting out eventually? If, like, at your 7th birthday, you're already renting out this massive hotel, what is there left for you, like, for your sweet 16?
Yeah, and what kind of expectations are you getting? that
Absolutely.
that is real life.
But, like, looking back, we both really enjoyed those experiences. Like, it was
Yeah.
really cool to experience that. But at the same time, we got sent to a playground and mom and dad ordered pizzas and got a cake and we were super happy.
Yeah,
So
such
I think,
well-behaved kids.
I know, we were delightful. But I think,
You're welcome, mom and dad.
I think that we left at the right time. Because, like, I was 10, turning 11, and what were you, like, 8? You were 8
7 or
by
8.
the time we left. So you're still young enough to, like, be able to experience it, but not, like, think that it's fully normal. And I think the fact that mom and dad were quite
Adamant on telling us
Yeah.
that it's not normal.
yeah, and not really going along with that behavior helped us to be like, well, that's not a normal lifestyle. Like, we can appreciate it and had a really good time, but this is what normal people do.
They go to school and
Yeah.
then they go home.
And if they're lucky, they get a slice of pizza.
Yeah, those are crazy times. And in that sense, Singapore was a lot better to grow up in. So safe and stable. I mean, I loved being able to walk around at 3 a.m. without having to worry about my safety. The affordable buses and metros everywhere, that was great. I mean, we got a lot of freedom being there because of that.
Yeah, for sure. I do remember, though, I think I was like 14, maybe 15.
Your prime years.
My prime years. And I think I was an after school project with a friend. It was when I was in the homeschool type thing. And on the way home, there was something with like the public transport system that wasn't working. So my curfew was 7 p.m., which looking back, I'm like, I was 15 and I had to be home at 7. Like, we could have been a little bit more relaxed.
Dude, I had to be home at 5.
Yeah. And then I ended up being home at 7:30. And I
Ooh, you
texted
devil.
mom and dad like, hey, this and that is not working. I'm delayed. I'll be there at 7:30. And I got grounded for a week. Which, looking back, is so disproportionate. And I think I talked with mom and dad about this a few weeks ago. Like, do you guys remember that you did that? Like, I was half an hour late for my curfew and you guys grounded me for a week. You guys were so mad. And the dad was like laughing, like, did we really do that? Why did we do that? That was not necessary.
I am glad that he realized that it was kind of ridiculous, but
Yeah.
it doesn't help you much now because you still had that week.
Well, it is gratifying now. Like, I was right. Yeah. But I mean, that didn't last too long. I guess eventually as we got older, I think once we hit the high school time that we were let loose quite
Yeah,
a
but
bit.
the thing is, I didn't care for going out, so I was home anyway. So I don't even know if mom and dad, they probably would have let me. I just didn't go. I liked being home. My friends would come hang out at our place. I think I only noticed it when we were about to move, and I spent all my time with my ex. And I'd be home at like 3 or 4 a.m. and they just messaged me like, "Hey, are you coming home today?" And I was like, "Yeah," and that was enough.
Which is so funny because you were like literally you were just 18. And when I was 18, I was not allowed to do that.
I was a very trustworthy child.
No,
very
I
well
paved the way
behaved.
for you.
No, no, no. See, I was convinced that I was the favorite child, and this just kind of plays into that. So,
Um, yeah, but that myth has been debunked, so it's okay.
you know what I just realized?
What?
That we forgot to introduce what a third culture kid is.
Lol. Okay.
So we're gonna rewind for a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna go bring it back because we do tend to stray,
Carried away.
get off topic, which I think for now in this stage, you could
still-
see it as chaos, but you could also see it as creativity.
And we work best with chaos. We're both quite
We can't
all
do
over the place.
Yeah, we can't do stability. We
Or
can't do
structure.
planning. We
Nope.
just need to go with the flow. So, that being said,
A third
TCK.
culture kid is what we are. And basically, what it means is that a kid grows up outside of their home country. So, our passport country is the Netherlands. And as you heard earlier, here and there, we lived in the Netherlands, but primarily we spent our developing years in other countries. And that makes you a third culture kid because you're not home.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I love being a third culture kid. And we both experienced it in such different ways. Our reactions to it were so different. And even now, our reactions to it are so different.
Yeah, but it's so funny. It kind of proves or goes into the whole nature versus nurture debate in the sense of we grew up exactly the same with the same parents and we're only like
And they were very big on equality.
yeah, for sure. Except when it came to rules.
No, okay, but everything that you got, I got, and vice versa.
Yeah. But how we look back on it and like talking about the things that we experienced and how we felt and whatever you want to call it, I was, quite shocked that we have such different experiences. I
Yeah.
always kind of thought that we're like this meshed together person, and that we live exactly the same life. I do not think that now. But I thought that back then.
But I mean, if you look at it, back in Singapore, we were this meshed together person because eventually we ended up in the same class at school.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into later why that all happened. But
Drama.
we were the only Dutch people in that school for a little while. We were the Den Engelsen sisters. If Shannah was there, Tessa was there, and vice versa.
Or if I was like walking down the hall, they'd be like, "Where's Tessa?" I don't know.
As if we have some kind of telepathy. Yes, we are connected.
Yeah.
Get your tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
But I guess that just made us identify with each other, even though I think at that moment we were doing our best to not be one person.
We were very different people, regardless. I think we thought in our personalities we were different, but there was like no denying that, I think.
Yeah.
But like as people, we were just like this clump.
And we did spend a lot of time together because, going to school together 5 days a week, full days.
Yeah.
And in the weekends we would do stuff together. We had to both go to the church that mom and dad went to, even if we went to our own church. But then we went to our own church and we
went
to the
together.
same one. So I think we also, for me at least, I find a lot of safety in you. Having you there just made things a little less scary. And I would never admit that back then. But it helped me to
Thank
try
you.
new things.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, if you kind of ignore the periods that I was very mean to you, then...
No, but like what kind of new things? Because I always kind of thought like just generally speaking, I was maybe a bit more the careful and cautious one. So,
Yeah, but I feel like something
I mean-
else comes out when it's family. I'm trying to think of this one time. I think it was here in the Netherlands that this happened, but it's a good example. I was trying to get into this modeling thing, and I convinced you to go along with me because I was nervous to do it alone, and just having you there with me made it safer and easier to do.
when we did the auditions,
Yeah.
oh, I totally forgot we did that.
Yeah, me too.
I was confronted with that a little while ago. I was going through my hard drive from my computer and I came across the tape. I was like, that
I
was
did
so
that. Yeah.
cringy.
But
Yeah.
I mean, that's with all the modeling experiences we had.
Yeah,
If
you
you
have to
look
talk to a
back at
camera.
Mossberger, not Mossberger, sorry, the MOS, the
Yeah.
MOS clothing store.
Yeah.
Um,
But we got to keep the clothes. So,
yeah, but they were so ugly, and we thought we were all that.
yeah, 2013 vibes.
And I think we got paid like $20. And when we went to iModel and did all those shoots and the site talk advertisements,
Yeah, the commercial.
yep, there were quite a few things we ended up doing actually.
Yeah. It was a model.
A little bit cringy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, we thought we were going to be rich.
That's how I asked Dad, I think a few years ago already, but about the whole modeling thing. And that I was like, because I remember we had to do this portfolio shoot and stuff,
Yeah.
and that would be like $800 or something like that. And then they were like, "Don't worry about it. It's just like this like down payment type thing. You'll get that earned back like in no time." And then later we discovered like per job that you had to like film like a whole day, you'd get $30
Yeah.
and maybe lunch. And then they would decrease the $30 for like agency costs. So it was like it was like not a good thing. But then Dad was like, "Oh, I knew I threw away those $800 as soon as I signed you guys up."
I mean, that's very nice of him then
Yeah.
to just do it because he was always a bit more cautious with spending money on these kinds of things.
Yeah,
I actually find that funny that he did it.
I think we believed in ourselves a little too much.
I remember you went for your audition kind of thing, like to the modeling agency itself, and I was still wearing my football jersey. Like, do you remember
You
every
were
Saturday?
always wearing your football jersey.
Exactly, but also my football shorts with Crocs and my hair down. I looked like either an overgrown little boy.
You did. You really did. And then you
Um,
cut your own sideburns.
Oh, honey, let's not get into that. I think I had bangs at this point even, and my hair was, it just,
It was not a look.
how could they have taken me seriously? Because they told me, like, yeah, no, we can sign you up too. That's great.
I think they were a scam.
Now looking back, that was probably the case, yeah. And then, after the modeling, we got into doing those videos with JTV. Do you remember that?
That was a little while later, but that was a good time. Shout
The
out to
react-
Sean because that was a good time.
You got us that, what was it? 50,000 or 500,000 hits
I'm
on that
pretty
one
sure
song.
it's around the 600K. Yeah.
That was really cool to do. For those of you that don't know, there was a Chinese song, and our producer, Sean, he really wanted to translate it to English and produce it, basically. So we spent an entire day recording, and I remember your voice was so raw at the end.
I was in pain. I was in so much pain.
And my hand was raw from playing guitar constantly.
We did this for 9 hours.
It was crazy.
Eventually, he was like feeding me tea.
Just
to be
like, you gotta
"This-"
keep singing
Yeah.
and not sound like you're some dying rascal. And yeah, and then they developed it, and it was a really big hit,
That
especially in
went
China.
so fast.
Yeah, and people recognized you.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I think so.
You had a couple people recognize you on the bus. One person even walked you home with an umbrella because it was raining.
I don't remember this.
No? Oh, okay. I have a
But
weird
that's
memory,
so
but
cool. That's so cool. I do remember that when we would go to like events, because we would get invited to like these premieres and stuff, they'd be like, "Oh, you're from that video," and be like, "Oh my god, you saw that video? That's
We
so
thought
cringy."
it was so cringy, yeah. Then shout out to Dad to showing it to everybody that would
Constantly.
come by.
I'd be like begging him, like, "Please don't, please don't. I can't watch
And
this."
there it was again.
Being confronted with it. No, but it was a good time, and I really liked the time that we spent at JTV. That I think it kind of helped because when we were doing the modeling thing, being in front of a camera was like so stiff
Forced,
and
yeah.
awkward. And then by the time we were doing JTV, I remember after like our second or maybe third like episode type thing, that Sean was like, if we were going to record, he's like, "Oh, this is going to be good because you're so giggly." And I was like, "Oh, that's a good thing. That means I am now comfortable." So that was good in like growing to just be
More confident, I
more
guess.
confident, I suppose. And then just looking back on the videos and being super cringed out by myself. So,
Yeah, but we were so proud of it at that moment.
yeah. But with the music video type thing,
Yeah.
I think what shocked me was I remember when it was released that evening and I kept refreshing the page and every time it was like plus 5K, plus 5K. And I was like, holy shit,
It
that's
became so
insane.
big, yeah.
Yeah. And we got in the newspaper.
In China, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw screenshots of that. I mean, they spelled our names wrong, but that's okay.
Yeah, but
Dutch
everybody
names are
did.
hard to spell.
Yeah.
And I have so many photos of our school years of everybody misspelling a teacher's, principal, everything. So shout out to everyone who tried.
That's okay. We forgive you.
Yeah. So no, those are some good years. I mean, we got into a lot of different stuff. And I guess that exposed us to a lot of different opportunities, which was great. I think if we had just lived here, I'm not saying we wouldn't have had opportunities, but our lives would have been so different.
I feel like and like not in a judgy way at all, but more comparing to how we grew up and the things we got to experience. I feel like it would be relatively boxed in.
Yeah.
So, like, whereas
You do
looking
the standard
back,
things.
yeah, you do the standard things, and there's nothing wrong with the standard things. When I was younger, I was envious of the people who did standard things. Like knew each other since childhood. I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
That is not a occurring thought to me. I only meet people once a year.
Yeah, and then you're surprised that people don't move around all the time and they don't
I-
have their families long distance.
Bruh, I was 14 when I finally like discovered that people don't generally live the way we do. So, because you know we always went to international school, so in some capacity,
Everybody,
right?
yeah.
Exactly. So when I got into this conversation, I don't even remember who it was with, but they're like, "Yeah, I've been in the same school since kindergarten," and I was like, "Why?"
Are your parents normal?
I'm like, "What are you doing?" Looking back, it's so dumb. I mean, you didn't know better because you know you're 14 and stuff. But I'm like, just in a way, we were small-minded as well because we thought everybody lived the way we did.
But I mean, the funny thing is you grow up like this and you think you're so diverse and culturally accepting of everything. And at the
We're
same
not.
time, I mean, in some ways we are, but I remember the worst thing I ever did that was really racist, but I didn't realize it at that moment, was I had a friend and she was mixed. And I kept telling her that she had a flat face. Because I didn't realize.
Why?
I don't know. I just thought it was so interesting, and I'd never seen it before. And I mean, looking back, it was pretty rude because if somebody told me, like, for example, I had a big nose or whatever, I would be like, yo, shut up, you know, once is enough. But I just kept telling her that she had a flat face, and it was so intriguing.
Well, you know, I can bring it back to the fact that everybody, especially in Singapore, felt this
Pungent
like
need.
yeah, this uncontrollable desire to inform us daily of our height.
Oh, yes.
Be like,
And it was a
you're so
one-way street.
tall. And then eventually I would kind of get sick of it because I mean, you can't blame people, but eventually it's like, you've heard it 10,000 times already. Like, I know. I would be like, but you're short. And they'd be like,
They get so offended.
I was like, but literally, what's different though? And it's like, yeah, but I was like, okay, well, you know what?
Shut
we could
up.
just we could just move on.
Keep your opinions to yourself, please.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, good time. I still can't believe you said that.
I know. I'm so embarrassed for myself.
Yeah.
But it's okay, you know, you kind of just wipe the slate clean of all the things you did when you were a kid. Because, I mean, there's enough embarrassing things that I've done.
I feel like we're about to open up a whole can of worms
no, we're not
here.
going to do that. Because this is still just an introduction.
Yeah.
But I am really looking forward to the next episodes that are coming. Because,
It'll be even more chaotic.
well, yeah, that for sure. But, you know, it's us. I think if we ever create a podcast that has structure and
It is not us.
it's not us.
We have
you
been
need to-
kidnapped.
Exactly. Or we've just dulled this out so badly.
Yeah.
Then you have permit. No, I'm not going to say that.
My mind is going to dark places.
Exactly. So the next time that we're going to be sitting here, we're going to be talking about your life and how you grew up, how you experienced being a third culture kid, and just kind of your own experiences as well. because it's not just the living abroad that formed you, it's everything that happened outside of that as well.
Yeah, and everything is like interconnected with each other. So I think it'll be a joyous, chaotic can of worms that will be opened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the next time, which like kind of like a preview, I guess. That's gonna what we're gonna be talking about. But we're
Yeah.
gonna be trying to like do this like weekly thing.
Yeah. There'll be a new episode every week.
Yeah. And then we're gonna try to keep you guys coming back to give a little bit of a snippet of what we were talking about the week following.
So next week, hear about how Shannah screwed up her life and got back on track.
For sure. 100%.
Multiple times.
That's where we're at. So, yeah. I think because if we keep going now, we're going to just like have an episode of 4 hours and then
it's never going to end.
Yeah. No.
So welcome aboard this roller coaster that is our lives. You have gotten on. I'm sorry you can't get off anymore.
Yes.
But I promise you it is worth your while. We'll try to make it worth your while.
Yeah.
And we hope that you connect to this in some way, or you just enjoy listening to it. Our plan is to also have some guests come on here sometimes. We like the whole conversation idea, and there's plenty of other people that we know that grew up this way, or they spent their adult years living this way. And we're just going to keep giving you guys nosedives into what this life is.
And if you have questions, please feel free to ask because we are used to quite a bit, so we won't be freaked out.
I mean, keep it normal.
Keep it PG, please.
Yes.
Please.
But ask us anything,
yes.
And we'll try to get back to it in our podcasts. And do please share this with anybody that you think would like this.
Well, yeah, because what we're trying to do with this podcast is to connect the TCK community. To
have something that's relevant, people that can relate to it.
Yeah, well that, but also like so people that grew up like us, we can share stories with each other, but also people that are standing on the outside that didn't grow up like us can get like an insight on what it's actually like.
How our minds work, because I can promise you they're complicated sometimes.
Yes. Yes.
Enough said.
Yes.
So we would like to thank you very much for listening in today. And we look forward to seeing you next time
on Culture Shock Therapy.